Hi everyone, good morning. How are you guys doing today? Today we have a very special guest who can transform your life, business and fitness both. So I welcome today Birendra, and why don't you introduce Birendra and tell us about yourself and what exactly is your mission?
Right. So thank you so much, Ajinkya, for inviting me to your show, first of all. And it's actually been pleasure, talking to you all the time. So that's something which is great. Now, coming back to myself, so I've been in the corporate world for about 24 years plus. Been working with the life insurance, major part of my experience being in the insurance industry, and so worked with a couple of good brands, the top companies I would say. And my last designation was as a chief direct distribution officer with the Tata AI Life Insurance. So that's
Mhm.
something which I was there, and then in February 2020. I left the corporate world, and from there on, my new journey actually started, Ajika. And so now I do many things which I always wanted to do. Like, so I was talking about, uh, I now, work as a corporate mentor. So wherein I train the startup founders, you know, and there are about seven, startup founders where I'm coaching and mentoring them. And also at the same time, I also mentor the professional corporate world. So that's something which I do it. I love doing that. Uh, as you're aware, Aditya, I'm also in the process of launching my book. This launch is going to be there on July 8th, which is FIT365 is the name of the book.
Mhm.
And I'm also as a volunteer and a coach and a training program and self-expert leadership program, and also team management leadership program with Landmark Education. So that's something which I do it. I also run a podcast by the name Fitness Fuel 10x. That's something which I do it on a every weekly basis at times. And I'm also on the corporate expert panel with Symbiosis Center for Management Studies in Noida. That's something which I, there. And apart from that, I also am an independent consultant wherein I, consult on the various projects, especially on the insurance part. That's something which I do it, and I'm an investor and also participate in the equity markets and the future options and investing in the startup and private equity also. So that's something which I do it. And also, which I do enjoy the most is I go for a trekking. Like I track a lot, maybe every quarter I go for a trekking in the west of Maharashtra or in the Uttarakhand Himalayas. That's something which I do it. So plenty of time, which I was not having in my corporate world earlier. So those are the things which I do it. I think I'm more of. Yeah.
Wow, what a great profile, I would say, Virendra. I think it's a huge umbrella, but I think you're focusing on something which is very important, like setting up or helping people to, start up and think about. See, there are so many things which are unknown to everyone. I think you are playing a key role in helping them building their business, building a startup. Let me ask you this question: why this mission? Like, what made you realize that this is what I should do? Why is this mission?
Right. Right. So I think I mean right from the my corporate world where I was managing large teams, maybe in the last assignment I was managing about more than 3,000 to 4,000 people, right? And it's been my passion to actually contribute immensely and to actually coach them, mentor them. And I see a vast difference wherein, maybe people who are resigned completely or maybe struggling there. And through my interactions regularly, with them, they've been completely transformed into a top performers category. So that's something which I've seen. That's something which has actually been motivated me. And then I thought that, yes, coming to a mission, if you see, I want to actually transform the life of more than 10 million professionals worldwide. And that includes the startup founders and the corporate professionals. So startup founders, because of those are people who are actually want to do something new for their business, want something built in communities. So and they are the one who can actually, employ so many people in the maybe the next 2 years or 5 years, 10 years down the line. So
Right.
that's one thing which I thought, and maybe the people who are already there in the corporate professionals, I'm in a corporate world, so I mentor those people as well there. So that's my broad mission, and you know, thinking from that perspective that to really contribute something in the people's life,
Hmm.
that is something which I enjoy the most. And I just want to share one thing, Aditya. I was coaching, mentoring one of the person, and he was a quite senior position in a zonal level guy in one of the top insurance company. And August 22nd last year, he called me and he said, sir, I'm in a fix. I said, what happened? So normally I charge for my mentoring because I saw that free में consulting करने से Ajinkya, people don't value it,
True.
and it doesn't make any sense also, right? So I've seen people don't do the assignments required. So I've stopped doing that. I was doing it earlier, I stopped doing it. And then this guy said that he was being fired from his company.
Mhm.
He's lost his job. He's got divorced, and his parents also threw him out of the house.
Oh.
And for the last 6 months, he's uh, you know in maybe a studio kind of apartment on a rent, and is aloof completely. He's shared with me that he is not speaking to anybody out there in the world, not with even the friends or colleagues or anybody in the family members. And he told me, Ajinkya, that he is considering doing suicide.
Ooh.
And then I really got, I said, and then I started conversing with him. I've been on a regular conversation with him. Ajinkya, you won't believe, I coach about, 4 weeks. I coach him regularly every week, alternate day also. And then every weekly I was coaching him. 10th July, within a 2 months time frame, Ajinkya, this person got a job,
Wow.
right? So September end, October beginning, got a job. He shared with me, and then 10th of January, I was traveling. I was on track. Actually, he called me, sir. I have actually started his business, and he is employing 10 people now. He's into the insurance distribution, financial product distribution kind. He's employed 10 people. So really, I mean, you feel great that you know. In a some way or the other, I mean, you've actually made a difference out there in the person's life, and not only, I mean, that, but he is employing people now and is contributing immensely to the people, to his own employees and also to the customers now. So that is
Right.
something which, boost, me. And I think since you also there in the same kind of business, you understand that what I'm trying to say, connect you.
True.
So it's not all the time about money, but actually the contribution which I are doing immensely. So that's a broad mission, and that's something which inspired me ongoingly, regularly, and that's kicks give me a kicks daily when I get up in the morning. I think, yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that that must be bringing you a a sense of satisfaction by the end of the day. That's you have someone impacted someone else's life, which is something the universe is giving back to you the satisfaction. I would rather say. Let me ask you this question. I mean, this is something which I was thinking that what, according to you, are the common challenges people go through when they think about starting a business? I mean, at least let's start with a thought first, and then we go
Yeah.
into something which is like an actual real time experience people go through, and and why people don't, why not everyone is a business owner. It's like I want to understand about that.
Yeah, so for what I've seen, I think, is and while coaching with the startup founders also, and the people who want to actually start their own business also, what I've seen is they believe in the doubt, the fear which is there in the mind that will is going to be successful. What happens if if it's not work the way I wanted actually, and mainly typically, I mean, if you see, I mean, the financial issue is the concern there. So maybe fear of losing out something which they've started, actually that's something which is there. And when I coach and when I have a conversation with them, when this thing is being taken care of, right? I mean, for example, if you see, I mean, I was just having a conversation yesterday and day before yesterday actually with one of the mentee, and we were just talking about. He said, "Sir, I mean, ये अगर हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा?" I said, "What? At what is it going to happen? I mean, you're not going to lose that customer, or you're not going to, have a successful startup of yours. That's something which is going to happen. Otherwise, what happens? You're not going to lose your life,
True.
right? Your life is important. So, and you can create what you want to create from there on. And 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 actually, I think I was also in the similar kind of phase till the time I was working. I was also in the kind of phase that what if I don't have my job tomorrow?
Hmm.
So maybe that, and that was, I was delaying my decision of quitting the corporate world,
Yeah.
for about 10 years or so. So that is something which is the most important thing, which is a fear of unknown, which you can say that, which stop people to take action there.
Hmm.
But then when you actually cross that fear, when you're on the border of that fear and cross that fear, then you see that, I mean, what do you want to create actually in your life? You can actually do that. And it just takes time. It just takes time of a disciplined approach, of you being, doing whatever you want to do. Your habits would be very, very important, and the focus in what you want to do actually. And above than that, Ajinkya, is the zeal of actually contributing to something, not actually that how much money we're out of way, but actually the zeal of contributing to immensely to this community, to the world. I mean, that is something which, person get that, at that point of time, I mean, he or she is going to be ready. I mean, he's ready for that, whatever you want to do in life, whether in the corporate world or maybe his startup organization. So the fear of unknown is the most important, most challenge which I see, that where most of the people struggle there. And I would say 99% of the people, I mean, stop there. And as you know, everybody as a human being has an immense potential of causing whatever they want to create in their
True.
life. Everybody has that power in making that thing happen. So I think that is something which I've seen while coaching people, interacting with thousands of people, that this is something which actually stopped them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think people,
yeah,
what I've seen, people are stuck. Even I am. I was in that mindset that I'm happy with my salary, I'm happy with my
yeah,
expenses, I'm happy with my savings, but they don't take that risk, or they don't take that leap of faith that if I do this, and then that
exactly,
question, the way you said, what if
exactly.
I fail? What if
Yeah,
people
yeah.
start saying about it? What if? And things
All
like
right,
that. I think this particular roadblock for our mindset needs to go away if you want to get into business mindset, right? So I think, yeah, this is something very
right.
important. So
Exactly. And also, I think, yeah, one of the things which I also want to share, I think, yeah, while I was there in the corporate world, I was also on, salary every month. So maybe, I mean, what I've seen with myself is I was focused, on my work, completely work, work, and work, nothing else. And end of the month, I get a salary. That's great. But then what I see is the fear of unknown was coming from because I had only one source of income, right?
true.
And what if I lose my job? Then, I mean, my other sources are not there. And that is something, post leaving the corporate world, that is something which I started building on, Ajinkya. And just to share with you, and today, the over 3 years point of time, I've been able to create about 8 to 9 multiple sources of income which I've been able to create. Though I mean they are in the initials, lowest, less, contribution. But I'm clear that slowly and gradually,
Yeah.
each one of them is going to contribute immensely. So I think that is something which everybody of us, even the people who are working in the corporate world, they also need to start working, and even the startup founders, I mean, that has to be taken care of properly. And then when that has been actually broken up, obviously, I mean, you've broken that barrier completely, and then you can actually do whatever you want to do. So that is something which also want to tell to the people out who is listening out, past listeners there.
Yeah, I think something we all have to think about, that how should we generate multiple sources of income, because the time right now is absolutely uncertain. The market
Yeah,
is down, people are
yeah,
downsizing, the organization are
yeah.
just laying off people, like, right and left. But now the question, which is like, what should people think when they think about starting a business? Because there are a lot of ideas, not every idea can become a business, right? How do you guide
Yeah.
people that they should focus and build a business around what should they do?
So I think what I normally tell to my people, to my mentees particularly, is whatever they enjoy, doing it, they should be work in that particular field, right? So because if that is not there, if the kind of enjoyment which they don't get while working or while achieving that particular thing, that target, or the business, that is not going to elevate their level of performance, or maybe the kind of energy they want to actually put in that kind of a business. So that is very, suppose, for example, if I say that I love enjoying being in the mountains, I love trekking, right? So maybe, I mean, and that's the kind of a business which I intend to do. I think, yeah, maybe in the next couple of months you will see that. I mean, that's the kind of, I love being with the nature. I love being in the mountains, and that's something which I do love. So maybe my line of business need to be you know similar like to that, which is maybe I'm dealing with the people, or maybe with the nature. So because that will give me that kind of energy every day when I get up. I would see that this is something which is enjoying. Maybe
Hmm.
जैसे मतलब मैं आपको बोलना चाहूंगा जिनका is that which is your favorite game?
Hmm. I'll say
What
cricket.
what favorite cricket? हाँ अजिंक्य I mean especially अगर मैं आपको क्रिकेट के गेम में छोड़ दूं, अगर मान लीजिए you will be there. I mean, playing the cricket, enjoying, leaving anything. Nothing's going to come to your mind. You're just going and enjoy the game, right?
True.
You will not even bother about those number of hours which has been there. Bhook pyas kuch nahi lagegi, and you are just enjoying. So that kind of thing. So if you are able to pinpoint that, and most of us are not able to figure out that what actually inspired me, what actually is my, something which actually, pull me through, so that, and everybody, believe me, everybody, every human being has that one thing or two thing or multi thing which they can actually do immensely out there,
Hmm.
right? Which actually motivate them, which like inspire them phenomenally. which empowers themselves. So I think if that is one thing which is being taken care of, that particular line of business one can actually begin. So that is something which I coach my mentees to begin with first, and then they take it forward. And that works. I've seen that works. That works with me. That has worked with me. That works with the people also whom I mentor.
So I've got a lot of questions, Birendra, about uh, the question is like, if anyone is trying to build a social media presence, because I think social media is very important if you want to set up a business, right? If you want to get into the market, if you want to build up your authority. So what questions I've received is like, if I post this content, will my boss look at it and say that, oh, this is, are you earning from here? Are you doing second business? Are you? So these are the questions which I usually get, that what
Right.
my boss will think if I post a content, and that is restricting them to, add
Exactly.
on social media content. What is your opinion about it?
Exactly. So I mean, it's a very good, pertinent question, Ajinkya, which you asked. And in fact, one of the person who was interacting about 2 months back, he posed a similar kind of a thing. He's keen on something, building on a great business for him. And but then at times he's fearful whether I'm to post or not to post, or whether to what if this boss come to know that there's something which is happening, and whether he's minting money out of that.
Right.
The first thing is that, first of all, there's nothing to fear about from anything, first.
Mm.
Secondly, you need to, whichever organization you're working, you need to align them that this is something which you are up to,
Mm.
right? You need to actually be setting that thing clear, whether it's the HR head or whether your line one or line two managers. That's something which has to be very, very clear. Because see, what happens, Anika, is if you have not done that, and third party comes to the picture, and then the organization comes to know that this is something which you're doing. So it's better that you should be upfrontly telling that this is something which you are doing out of your passion, and this is something. So I mean, and more so also, he or she need to ensure that what are the corporate policy, what the HR policies talk about in this line of working. So I think that, and when that thing is clear, then one person can actually start getting on it. And
Mm.
initially, maybe I mean, what people can begin start with is that maybe not from the monetary perspective, but then building their presence out there in that particular space, in that particular niche, and slowly, when they're actually making it in the social media presence, or maybe in their circle, and when they know that this is something which is ready now, and then they can take a call. But always to be in communication with the organization where they're working, because that is something which they've said that when they sign at the time of signing it, they sign the document which clearly say that they are not supposed to work anywhere, or maybe in any other company or anything else. Even though if they're doing it, then they need to actually update it to the, so
Mm.
that permission has to be taken. And I see, if you're genuine, if you're clear, and if you're doing justice to your current profile, no boss would like to, stop coming your way. That's something which I've seen there. So it's your courage, it's your clarity, it's your focus, and it's your, power, which actually tells you, that something which can this can happen. So if that is there, your boss or the HR is going to be aligned. And if they're not aligned, then that organization is not there for you. Simple
Mhm.
as that.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
another question which I usually get. I mean, this is all my questions I'm getting from my followers, my friends. That if I am earning, right, for setting up a business, small amount of investment regular is important. And then,
Yes.
now we have all our expenses. Your monthly, all of our having house, EMIs are going, monthly expenses are there, some investment, education. So everybody is like asking, how should I take that, step forward of investing on myself? I believe that investing on yourself is important, to learn from others, to have a mentor. What is your perspective of having a mentor while setting up a business?
Oh, brilliant, Ajinkya. I mean, it's so important that what I have experienced over the period of time in the corporate world is that your regular training for your own self uh, is very, very important, right? And it's about, you know uh, you want to perform to the
Hmm.
highest level.
Right.
You want to be a top performer. But what are the things which the character which are needed to be a top performer?
Hmm.
I think that is something which most of us lack. And if you really start working on that particular thing on every month, every quarter, every year on year, I think then you going to, have those, traits of being a performer category, and then performance automatically comes. And this is something which I realized, Ajinkya, in the year 2005, when I actually understood that the training and development is very, very important for me. And from there on, every year I enroll myself in training and development programs. So, I mean, so every year now, to close to about 6 to 8 lakh rupees every year I invest on my training and development. So that's enroll myself for the few courses, the courses which I inspire me or where which are my shortcomings. I do that. So I think that is something which is very important, and everybody of us need to actually start looking forward to it in every day. Most of us we don't. We invest in our assets. We invest in our businesses. We invest in our the thing which we need actually, like a car or maybe the house, or invest in our children's education. But then what is the investment which I'm doing for myself? That's something which I need to ask for myself every time. And
Right.
that's where most of the professionals also which I've seen, most of them, they fail to distinction that. And the reason of their growth, stagnation is one of that, right? Whether I mean in the organization or whether in the other line of a business that they want to do in their life. So I think that is something which is very important, Ajinkya. And every day, right? Every day one need to actually learn, whether you are reading something, whether you're watching something, whether kind of a, the clubs which you are being associated with, or the kind of a community which you are joined. I
True.
think that's one of the most important aspect of, doing. So maybe I'll put it in three categories, like, is that one is very importantly is the kind of the attitude which you are having for your own self,
Hmm.
right? And so the way are we how you see yourself, and that's something which is going to come when you are confident about yourself, which is going to come through the regular training and all.
Hmm.
Now, coming to your second, the same point which I'm coming to is the coach. Why the coach is important? I think it's the most important. See, even as Sanatana Dharma also, which you see, Ajinkya, we have a Mata, Pita, Guru, and Devata, right? I mean, if you see, so our father, mother, father, there's a Guru which comes. The Guru is somebody who's actually going to lead you, give you directions regularly to the target or the goal which you want to achieve.
True.
I think so that is very, very critical. So, so initially I was not believing in that, but then when I started realizing that this is something which is so important, now currently I have about five, mentors who coach me in different aspects of my business and for my all the other aspects also. My finance guru is there, my fitness guru is there, my yoga guru is there, my spiritual guru is there, and my training and development guru is there. So all these are very, very important. But most of us don't believe in that. We say, "Ah, yaar, kar lenge, apna bhi kar lenge," but apna aap nahi hota. I mean, there has to be somebody who's guiding you, somebody
Absolutely.
who knows it, who's seen that thing, or who can actually observe you from outside, right? So I don't know, while interacting with you, Ajinkya, I don't know what my shortcomings are, but you can actually foresee clearly that while interacting with you, can see that what is the gap which is there in Vedanta, right? So that is something which the coach or guru or mentor do is. So I think the coach presence in everybody's life is important. I mean, if you see simple, why do we actually send our children to school and colleges?
True.
Right from the early, I mean, if the kids, I mean, people, I mean, put their kids in when they are 2 years old, 3 year old now in in nursery and kindergarten and all. Although they should not, by the time they should be 5 or 6, they should not. But then they do that. Why? Because they know that somebody is there who's actually guiding them, training them, mentoring them, telling what is there, what is not there, and the children are also looking to somebody who's actually that kind of figure who can actually coach and guide them. So I think that's some. So I mean, when we do this with our kids, why are we not doing with ourselves?
True.
So when I realized that, so it's been about close to about 20 years now, Ajinkya, which I have my gurus, mentors all the time, ongoingly. So I mean that's something which I do it. So I recommend highly to all the people in the world. I mean whether the professionals or startups or anybody, everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a mentor.
Right.
And if you see, I think, I mean, if you see, I mean, the top professionals, I mean, top actors or top sportsmen in the world, I mean, the world class, champions or the Olympians, if you see, everybody has a coach, like Sachin Tendulkar, for example, or Dhoni. Everybody have a coach. Now,
Right.
they don't not require. I mean, Sachin, for example, if you talk about, he's a god of cricket. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
master
True.
batsman in the world. He don't need a coach, but he has a coach.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
similarly, when you look back to anybody else, any top performers, athletes or actors, everybody had done the why? Why? Because they know that the coach can make a huge impact out there in their life,
Absolutely.
right? So that is something which is very, very important. And third thing which is critical, very important, is the kind of a company which you are into. which means that the kind of a friend circle which you have, the kind of a people whom you are conversing, the kind of a clubs which you're associated with, the kind of a group which you are there on the social media, right? The kind of a environment which you've been able to create in your family circle, or the kind of a discussion or conversation which is going on there all the time with you. So that is the kind of a material which you're reading or you are watching. I think that is very important. So the kind of a environment which you have been able to create around you, I think that is something which is extremely critical for anybody's success, right? So I think these three things are extremely important, along with the coach.
True, true.
So coaching is one of them.
Yeah, I think what I feel is like everybody's there to tell you what to do. But I think the
Yeah,
coach always tell what not to do, which is very important. And I think that's why coach plays a very important role to understand where you should not go rather than everyone will tell you, yahan chale jao, ye kar lo, wo kar lo. But that's how I feel that,
exactly.
right? So that's where the
Yeah,
mentor or coach plays a very important role in setting up anything like a habit or a business or a routine, right? So, uh,
exactly. Exactly. And I think the coach, I mean, one thing about the coach, which you said also, is the coach actually is somebody who's the powerhouse, who's the kind of a, you know, I mean, every day we charge our laptops or maybe mobile phones or anything which is there in the gadget which is there, we charge it. Why? Why that, this thing is charged? So why do I not charge myself as a professional? So the
true.
power of a professional is the coach or a mentor. And the interesting thing about coaching or a mentoring is that you have to trouble that uncomfortable being of that particular person, so that the that person can actually break those barriers. And
Hmm.
actually people who are there in the comfortable position, they got to be troubled. So I mean, that's the role of a coach is,
True, true,
right? So
true.
and the coach does that because whatever he or she, his mentee or a coachee, want to achieve in life, he or she fulfill that in order to achieve that goal, the coach does all the thing which is. So maybe, I mean, you feel at times it's going to be very very painful,
Yep.
right? But then, I mean, you got to go through that pain. Very
Absolutely.
important. If you want to achieve that success or the kind of goal which you have set for yourself, you got to go through that rigor or that grind which the coach is doing. So, and one of the aspects which most of people, I've seen, I mean, people have their coaches, but then they leave their coaches in between, not because the coach is not good, but because whatever the coach tells to them, they are not able to fulfill that.
True.
So they don't surrender themselves fully to the coach, Ajinkya. And that's where the main trouble is. That's where the main problem is. So
Yep.
if you are having somebody as a coach, you got to surrender completely to that person and practice whatever he or she is telling you to do that. Because he is telling or she is telling you to do, because he wants you to be successful.
Absolutely.
He wants you to be actually making a huge impact out there in the area of field which you have been able, you said you want to do that. So that is something which is extremely critical. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's something very important for everyone of us to understand. We need a mentor. We need a coach. So Birendra, let me ask you about your new program which you're planning to launch. What exactly is this program, and just shed us a light on what exactly this program is about and how it's going to help individuals start to thinking about their business.
So the program, so maybe the program which I'll say, I was talking about my business which I wanted to do, right? Uh, so uh, so as I was telling you, Ajinkya, that I love go for the tracking and all. So what I've seen the being in the corporate world is that most of the professionals out there, they don't spend much time doing the physical activity or being close to the nature.
Hmm.
So what I'm intending to, open if something is there which is going to be available for the corporate professionals, is that something which they can do in about maybe 6 month time frame or so that they can actually be there out there with the close to the nature, doing and just away from this daily routine or daily things, doing whatever they love, just being, you know, taking a deep breath in the fresh air,
True.
being with the mother nature, enjoying the beauty of the mountains or the rivers or the seas,
Yep.
right? Staying with the nature. I mean, and as a natural, natural habitat, actually,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and just being with that. Because see, I mean, what I've seen is, as a human being, we've actually created everything as artificial things. Like if you see from the water. Now, I think if you see 20 years back or 30 years back, if you remember what kind of water we used to drink, we used to drink just like water from the tap. Now,
Yep.
today, nobody is going to drink the water from the tap, right? Nobody of us will go to. We always have the artificial water which we've created as a human kind, we've created now. So and when I go to, when these professionals go to the nature, I mean the mountains or the, I mean when you drink the water from the source, from the spring, you'll be, even a drop, a single drop of that water tastes like nothing. It's amazing to taste even one drop of water, and you will be amazed the kind of a, you know feeling which you have once you have that kind of a water. So
Yeah.
like, similarly, I mean, if you see the kind of air which you breathe sitting in metros, you know it. I mean, whether it's Delhi, Bangalore, or Bombay, you know that the air quality is not good enough for the humans, but
Yep.
we are still breathing that.
Yep.
So when you go there out there, the kind of a breathing. So when I first time when I go there, every time when I go there, I take a deep breathing, right? So just being with the nature, and that's something which I also coach to my mentees and my startup, that what can actually they're contributing to the environment,
Mm.
what their business can contribute, what their teams can contribute, right?
Right.
So that is something which similar. Or apart from that, I mean, what you said for to the program, which the startup founders, the professionals can also take it. One of the things is very important is the transformation hours of your own self. Now, what I mean by that is that I think, yeah, if I want to accomplish something in my life, right,
Mm.
I need to be actually, be physically fit. And
True.
what I've seen in the corporate world is that, people, and that too across the categories, like whether top management, middle manager, or even the low manager also. Low manager thoda kam hoega, but top and middle manager is a prevalent. I've seen, I think, yeah, is 80%, more than 80% of people, they are popping the pills.
Mm.
They're
True.
having some kind of a illnesses or the other, and they are okay with that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
pretty okay with that, yeah,
Yeah.
right? But when I realized that, I'm not okay with that, because something which I'm putting in my body
Mm.
tomorrow, which it's going to give me a trouble. And
Absolutely.
and and that's what I've taken up, Ajinkya, is that you won't believe, Ajinkya, and the kind of a thing which I do with myself, and more so when I left the corporate world, is I spend about 2.5 hours every day on my physical fitness, on my yoga, pranayam,
Yep.
all this information, exercises, visualize, everything which I do it. It's
Yep.
about 2.5 hours every day which I do it. And you'll surprise, Ajinkya, that I don't take any medicine. For the last 6 years, I've
So.
not taken any medicine. And I've declared to myself that till the time I'm alive, so no offense to any doctors who are listening to the podcast, but then, yes, I mean, I can heal myself as a natural being, right?
Yeah.
That's something, and that's where the naturopathy comes. That's how, something which I believe, right? And I don't need any medicines because my body produces so many things automatically, ongoingly.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying anybody who is popping pills, they should, stop that. I'm not saying that. No, this is not advice that I'm giving to people. But then, yes, over a period of time, your body can be such fit that you don't require all those any external things, you
Yep.
know
Absolutely.
and you got to develop that. It's not that it's just come for me just overnight. It has come to me, like your eating habits, your sleeping habits, your drinking habits, the kind of what amount of water you drink, how many times you drink,
Hmm.
so your drinking habits, your eating habits, your sleeping habits, then your mental fitness, your physical fitness is there, then your mental fitness. How do you actually, and that's something which we already discussed, Ajay, that what
Right.
kind of a books of one person's read, what kind of a company which people are having, you are having actually,
True.
what kind of a movies or the content which you're watching or on the internet, so that, what kind of people you are interacting every day, conversation which you're doing. I think that's something which is very, very important. And thirdly, which is that, which comes with it, I call it a spiritual fitness, is that, what is the purpose of you being in this world?
Mm.
It's not about the being a religious being or so, but then what is the purpose of you being there in the world? So
Yep.
when I actually found out that what I want to contribute in this world is phenomenal way, is that something where I thought that this is the one thing which I want to contribute immensely to those 10 million professionals out there in the world, to those startup founders and to
Yep.
those corporate professionals.
Yep.
I think, and what thing which I'm good at. So I think that is something which is important. And also is that, your social fitness, that your relationship with your own self, your
Yep.
relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your kids, the kind of environment that you'll be able to create along with your family members, your friend circle, your business environment, your
Right.
team members, your colleagues,
Right.
everybody out there in the. So how can you actually do that? So for that, and your financial fitness, which we talk about, which is the major thing, which all of us, I mean, striving for, and but
Yeah.
we forget to mention, that how does this social fitness your love and relationship and this financial fit is going to come. It is going to come when you actually develop that kind of a character by being actually physically fit, by
Yeah.
being mentally fit, and by being spiritually fit. So I think if these things are being worked upon, you know, I mean, those two things can be actually taken very, very easily. So I think I coach my mentees on those aspects, which is a holistic approach being, and start working on them, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and you'll be surprised, like most of us, most of my mentees, they don't read anything.
No,
They
really?
don't read anything. Yeah, more, very few of them read, So, and which I was also there. And I also found that while being after my MBA, I've stopped reading actually. But when I actually know that, I mean, this how this important learning and development is, training and develop myself is, and from that moment, I actually started doing that.
Yeah.
So that is something which is very important. Till the time we are alive, we need to actually upgrade ourselves
Absolutely.
every day, every week, every month, every quarter. And that's what the organization does. That's what everybody does. And
Yeah.
that's what the masters does actually. If you see all the successful in any specific field of whether it's a Bollywood, or maybe it's a sports, or in the businesses, if you see those are the people who've actually been able to, get a breakthrough in that. Right.
Mhm.
So I think that's something which is extremely, extremely important. Yeah.
True. So, if anybody wants to reach out to you, what is the medium they should reach out to you? Is there a Facebook page, or is there a landing page where people can reach out, so that I can post it in the description of the video which I'm going to upload, and then people can start reaching out to you for understanding about how they can start their own business, how what is required for in terms of mindset, investment, habits and approach. So, I think what would be the right way for everyone to reach you?
So, Ajinkya, I mean, so I'm very, very active in the social media platforms like LinkedIn, and Facebook and Insta. I mean, these three platforms where I'm very, very active. So people can connect me there on an everyday basis. I mean, you'll find something or other from my side. So, that's something which, and of course, I mean, on there's no landing page as such. I'm in the process of building that, Ajinkya. But then, I mean, yes, I mean, through social media, one can connect me. And through you also, people can connect with me. Yeah,
Absolutely. Sure.
yeah,
So let's talk about your book now. What is the
yeah.
book about? And you said it's going to be out soon, but just a gist of that book so that people are aware of what exactly they can expect out of the book.
Yeah. So the book is, FIT365. And as Anika, I have told you that my experience in the corporate world, where I see that people are not physically fit, mentally fit. So this
Mhm.
something that's going to be, helping, going to help to the corporate professionals particularly, and all the professionals out there
Yeah.
in the world. So I'm sharing my experiences, the breakthrough which I've been able to, get in my life, in
Yeah.
all my five aspects of my life. This is something which I'm sharing out there. I'm sharing all the seven secrets, which is extremely important for each individual to have a great life. And also, I'm talking about these five pillars, which I've said to you. I mean, that how one person can actually make an impact out there in every category of their fitness levels, like
Right.
be it mental fitness levels, or the spiritual levels, or the physical fitness levels, or the financial fitness levels,
Yeah.
and the social fitness. So every category. So it's a gist of everything put together there, and I've practical things which have been given out there, which anybody, if I can go through the book and actually get that, and get a breakthrough like that, then so that's something which people who are not able to come into my programs as a mentees, they can actually go through the book, and they'll be able to see that whatever I coach and mentor my people. I mean, it's the gist of everything out there. So it's based on that. And it's about the fitness. It's basically about the fitness, mental fitness and the physical fitness. Now,
Mhm.
I think I realized I was in 2016 when I was 80 kgs, Anikya, and I was not having any issues as such, no physical ailments or such. But at times, a couple of times in a year, I used to have acquired some illnesses or disease, and that point of time I used having those pills by the doctor, right? Or
Mhm.
maybe when I'm having a fever or not. And
Yeah.
then I realized that, post having those medicines, I was not comfortable with having the medicines, because, especially with the, antibiotics, particularly. I mean, it actually affects in 3, 4 days, later on also. And
Yeah.
there's something I realized that, I mean, this overweight weight of me is not going to, and I found that lethargy also creeping in myself.
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I decided that I need to do something about my fitness,
Yeah.
and there I, saw that it's not just one aspect of it which is going to help me out. and it's not just a diet which is going to help me out, but the overall thing,
Yeah.
right? Which means that I need to actually ensure that I need to be disciplined in my, sleeping time, my wake up time, my walking time. I need to ensure that what time I eat, what I eat,
Hmm.
and so maybe, and then I also started that how fasting can actually benefit you on your well-being.
True.
So
True.
I fast. Initially I was fasting. I was not fasting initially, but then I started fasting a week, and now I fast twice a week, right? Which is actually fulfilling to me, and which actually regenerate my body, and and I feel great. I feel so much charge of energetic. Uh, uh, I practice about 100 Surya Namaskar every day. I think when I started doing the yoga and pranayam, I was not able to do about two or three. And with a matter of time over practice, I started building that. So it's all about, doing those small habits
Absolutely.
with consistency, how you can discipline yourself,
Yeah.
how you can actually get a breakthrough in the area of your physical fitness, how you can actually get a breakthrough in the area of mental fitness. I think if these two being taken care of, the rest of the things will be taken care of. So I think this is about all that, right? And people, especially the working people in the corporate world, they're going to enjoy this book because I believe if uska agar 20% bhi le lenge people, then they'll be able to get an immense breakthrough transformation there,
Mhm.
their area of physical fitness and the mental fitness. That's something which people can get that.
Absolutely, man. I think this is something I'm very excited for your book. And I think one last question which I would like to address here is, what is the one advice is you will give to everyone who is procrastinating fitness?
Yeah.
What is that
So
one advice you will give for people who are
yeah, so
procrastinating it? And why, first of all, let's understand why this procrastinating attitude is building up and what people can do to get away from this procrastination.
yeah, I think it's one of the greatest barrier for everybody out there, right? So why procrastination is because we are not because the person, or let's say if I speak to myself, that I'm not willing to, you know, accept the outcome of that, the action.
Yeah.
And that is something which stopped me in taking action. And the more it is, there, Ajinkya, the more it's going to get delayed. Whatever I need to do, the more it's going to get delayed out there. So procrastination, I say, is a sin actually.
Yeah.
Procrastination is a sin, right? Which gives me nothing but sorrow.
Absolutely.
And I always, all the time, I think that I'll give it up, but I will, but tomorrow. That's how it is. Right? Right? Yeah. So that's how the procrastination. And anything, and be it physical fitness, be it any task which you want to achieve on a daily basis or a small thing, even with respect to conversation with a person who we not communicated for the last 5 years, there also how am I going to speak to that person whom I haven't spoken to 5 years? That also procrastination, right?
Absolutely.
But then it's important that to break that barrier, and trust me, the breaking of the barrier is the biggest breakthrough, which is also very easy and the most difficult thing. But then point is, you got to take that action. That how do I put this in action? One thing is that what I've seen is the community which you build around. The
Hmm.
one is your coach. One is your coach. Second is the community which you build around, and your accountability partner. Which your community colleague or accountability partner, which you say you need to have that buddy, one person who's maybe your friend or maybe your colleague or maybe your somebody in your family circle. That person whom we can share everything and anything. Now, the buddy system is, I think, which I've worked upon in my corporate life, also in my built in my teams, also, and you can just work phenomenally. And if you see, in mountain, in tracking particularly, and the expeditions, you always have one person along with you. You don't, track alone.
Yeah.
You always track in a pair of two,
Yep.
right? So the buddy's job is to actually ensure that to take care of yourself, to and tell you that to save you from the danger,
Yep.
right? And that's what we are talking about. If you really want to, get away from the procrastination, my advice to the people listening out there at this podcast is have your committed colleague,
Yep.
have your partner, have your buddy along with you, one person at least. Now, let's say, I mean, example I'll give you, Ajinkya, is that suppose you want to get up early at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
and you plan to do that for the last couple of months and years together, but you're not able to do that. And that was a challenge with me also,
Sure.
right?
True.
when you have a person who is have a similar kind of thing along with you, who's or maybe your coach or a mentor or maybe your committed colleague or buddy who actually is your well-wisher who wants you to win, and when you share with him that this is something getting up early at 5 o'clock in the morning, which I
Yeah.
want to get a breakthrough, and when you start working with that person, trust me, 3 days time frame, you can actually break that pattern.
Okay.
That has worked. Yeah. So because that person is so he or she will create a structure along with you that you will be able to do it phenomenally very well, and you'll be able to take those actions accordingly, right?
Right.
So that is something which I have seen which works. So my advice to the people is that have a coach, have a mentee. It could be somebody in your family, it could be somebody your maybe ex teachers or maybe your mentors, early mentors whom you have stopped so I think that is something which is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So having a coach, having a buddy or a committed colleague is one thing which can actually break a bed. And thirdly, your attitude. If
Yep.
you want to actually willing to take that action, you got to really start doing that. So procrastination is nothing. Is nothing actually. And it's a great thing also. It's a
Yeah.
big thing. It's the biggest challenge for us also. But if you've decided that you want to actually win that barrier, you overcome that barrier and get away with that procrastination, I think that is something which you want to really take on right away today. So my
Absolutely.
request to people who are actually with that particular thing, they need to act on today. Get on that and complete that today only. And get on with one particular thing. Don't go with 100 things. Get on one things first.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a breakthrough in that, then for the second thing, then for the third thing. And slowly you'll see that over a period of a couple of weeks' time or months' time or quarter time, you'll see that those things which have been procrastinating for the last couple of months' time, you'll be able to focus on that.
Absolutely.
That's something which can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, this is something
Also,
great advice here.
yeah, yeah. Also, Ajinkya, one thing which I want to, tell to the listeners is is being being actually being of gratitude,
Yeah.
right? Is being, being thankful for your own self, being acknowledging for your own self.
Absolutely.
Now, I do it every day. Like being alive, simply so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's so many people in this world. Tomorrow, they are not going to wake up from their sleep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So being when you're able to breathe this moment when I'm having conversation with you, Ajinkya, I'm blessed.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful this moment also. So
Yes.
I need to be grateful about everything out there in my life. So I
Yeah.
need to be grateful about me. I need to be grateful about what is there in my hands today for my family, which is there today. I'm grateful to the laptop, to this technology which is there, wherein we are conversing today at this point.
Absolutely.
So, and this practice got to be there every day. And more so, we don't acknowledge. We are very chinky about acknowledging ourselves. Acknowledge yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things which practice which I want to advise to the listeners is there. One of the which they can take on is just today go in front of the mirror and acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge yourself, what you've created, what you're doing now, right? So do that because when you're grateful, you don't blame yourself when you make a mistake,
Yeah.
right? People, most of us, say, "Ah, मैंने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं यार. I'm no, I'm good for nothing actually." Don't do that. You're so many things which you have been able to do that. You've already done that, but you don't acknowledge that. I think that is something which is there. So do that. So when you're grateful for yourself, you don't criticize
Yeah.
yourself,
True.
right?
Yeah.
And being imperfect is also fine. So you being imperfect is also fine because
Yeah.
nothing is as perfect as out there in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Google came with the phone or when the iPhone came with the phone, and the first phone, if you see, I mean, if you compare with the now today's iPhone, and the first iPhone which they came, you will see, I mean, what what that piece was that, right? But
Absolutely.
then they've not stopped. Then there, I mean, the great phone did not stop themselves. Every time they keep on having the perfection done. So perfecting is just doing all your shortcomings all the time, looking for your gaps all the time, and moving to the next level, move to the next level. And that's something which is you got to do with your own self all the time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Don't blame yourself. Don't criticize yourself. You know, acknowledge what you have today, right? So, as I said, the kind of a breathe which I'm doing today, I'm blessed to have this breathe today. There are people who can't breathe. They find difficult in breathing. We've seen in the COVID times, people
Yeah.
died because they could not breathe,
Absolutely.
right? So being grateful is one of the great things which you need to really do every day.
Yes.
And then, I mean, if you do that, you're going to be happy. And
Yeah.
when you're happy, you can do whatever you want to achieve. Yeah. And that's going to be just like a magnet. So, and when you start practicing that, it's going to be magnet, and people start getting, you get attracted, attracting the good thing to you, attracting the good people to you, attracting the fortune towards you, attracting the situations towards you,
Yeah.
and the circumstances which we call the miracles, actually. That is something which will start happening. I was not believing in those things, I think, earlier,
Hmm.
but when I actually read that book, Magic, it has actually started creating the magic,
Yeah.
right, in my life. So
Absolutely.
that is something which we need to actually, start practicing, every day, and in my life. And that's one of the guru mantra which I can, share with everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the magic book has transformed my life as well. My my belief in uh, ask and you'll get it
yeah,
is grown multifolds after reading that book. So I think I will also advise everyone to at least once in the lifetime read that book, Magic. It's amazing. So I think, yeah, I think this is something very informative discussion we had today, Birendra. I think whoever is watching this live and who's going to watch it on YouTube, definitely if they have something in their mind to start up their business, they will have a, at least clear understanding what exactly they need to do. And I'm sure if anyone who is watching this over YouTube, if you want to reach out to Birendra, I'm going to share all his social media links so that you can reach out to him directly from the description of the YouTube video and ask him for help. He will help you. You need a mentor if you want to set up a business, because if you will do it, it'll take 10 years, for example. If you do it with a mentor, you can do it in a year's time. So that's fast tracking your thought process, fast tracking your dream to become true by having a mentor. So make sure you leverage this opportunity of having Birendra our side of helping us. Reach out to him if you have any questions. And I really thank you, Birendra, for joining today and giving us time and guidance and wisdom of how you are helping individuals and building their own business and setting up their startup. So I think this was really helpful, and I really thank you for your time today.
thank you so much, Ajinkya, for giving the opportunity to share my thoughts, and amazing talk to you always. So thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.